Good evening, all. My name is Talha Köse. I'm the director of SETA Brussels office. This night we will have an interesting discussion and interesting topic. As you know, last week there were a couple of meetings in Brussels. Definitely one of them was about NATO's Extraordinary Leaders Summit. The summit was done in order to deal and in order to formulate some consultation mechanism with regard to ongoing crisis and Russian invasion of Ukraine. There was also another meeting about EU. EU leaders also got together, and G7 leaders also got together at Brussels. So the main topic is how to deal with this issue, ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine. But the broader topic is reassessment of the security of Europe, security of the security architecture of Europe, and how this debates will affect the future of Europe's security. Of course, Europe's security is also related to security of other regions of the world. And as a member of NATO and also candidate of European Union, Turkey is one of the pivotal actors of European security. So Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan also participated to NATO meeting. And today we're going to shed light on those meetings. In addition to those NATO summit, EU summit, and G7 summit, EU, European countries also published an important document, European Security Compass. The debates about Europe's autonomy in terms of security was a long debate, actually, and they have been, European member countries have been debating this issue for a long time. They are trying to formulate alternative scenarios for Europe's security. And one of the important documents, recent documents, is Security Compass for Europe. So today we're going to also discuss the Security Compass and how it will affect Turkey's position vis-a-vis the Europe, and how Europe will reorganize its security architecture in the aftermath of Ukraine crisis. So we have very distinguished three speakers today. We have Professor Dr. Mehmet Akif Kireçci. He is a professor at Ankara Social Sciences University, member of Foreign Policy and Security Council in Consultancy Council at Turkey's presidency. We have Faik Tanrıkulu from Medipol University, and Oğuzhan Yanarışık, Turkish National Police Academy. All of them are experts on foreign policy and security. And I would like to start with Professor Mehmet Akif Kireçci about the significance of this NATO summit, how the NATO summit, as well as the security radar, security compass overlap. What are the issues that really affect Turkey's position in European security architecture in this regard? Professor. Ses. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the invitation, dear Talha and other friends. I think we are going to cover a very important, two meetings tonight. One of which is NATO summit, which took place around the big threat that Russia is now posing to the security of Europe and transatlantic security. I think that's one of the major pillars of the foundational principles of NATO, which was against the threat of, or perceived threat of, SSRC at the time, which simply sort of contributed to not only the understanding of a big cadre of officials in the United States and in Europe, and how they shaped their understanding of security regarding Europe, the basic parameters of which is concerned with Russia as a threat. So with Russia's decision to invade Ukraine, I think brought leaders together and alarmed many of them together around one single sort of objective, that is the security of Europe. I think the 30 leaders who joined the NATO summit last week reiterated the relevance of NATO again. If you remember, a couple of years ago, just no later than a year ago, Macron, the president of France, was talking about the relevance of NATO and that NATO was a brain dead. So the perceived threat now is realized and brought the fractured alliance together and emphasized the necessity and need for the leadership of the United States in providing security for Europe and also for global understanding of the security. There's another setting which came out as a communique after the meeting. One of the most important aspects of this is that there's a direct relevance to China, inviting China not to send help. I believe that's political, military, diplomatic, and perhaps financial help to Russia. The army of which now is staggering in sort of seizing the targets within sort of set or quickly set time. So all of this indicate the relevance of NATO and in the new age that it is powerful again. It is sort of providing safety and security. But how long this is going to be maintained is another question. The threat which is posed by Russia, yes, sort of brought all European countries, including the United States, together in the form of economic sanctions against Russia. I believe not only the security threat, but also the leadership of the United States of America, which pushed a lot, all the member countries of NATO, that they sort of get on the train with the United States in posing sanctions against Russia. So all of this unified, this gives a picture of a unified NATO more than ever, especially after the end of the Cold War. This is one of the most important actual threats, actual operation in the Europe. So the threat is real. So how long this unity is going to be maintained is another question. Obviously, many members of, some at least members of NATO, primarily Germany, to some extent France and Netherlands, they have economic engagements with Russia. They sort of purchase a lot of natural gas from Russia. And yes, several banks were listed in terms of the, they are put out of the SWIFT system, which is a big blow over Russia. But how long they are going to maintain, or how quick they actually be able to cut the supply of natural gas from Russia is going to be seen. So another issue which NATO stressed is that seemingly they are not going to send troops to the help of Ukraine, but they expressed the willingness of sending which certain armaments, if I may say, which came in the European compass also, that first time after the World War II, Europe is arming another nation which is not a member of European Union nor member to NATO. So I think there's this risk of escalation despite the careful wording of the communique after the NATO meeting, and despite the sort of trying to get away from getting involved militarily, because let's remember that Russia is constantly reminding the Western alliance that it is still possible for Russia to use nuclear option if it's pushed too much to the wall. So I think another point, which I'm sure came in this summit, the last summit of NATO, the options of NATO if, God forbid, Russia resorts to use nuclear option in an effort to simply get away from the stalemate that its troops got into in Ukraine. So we are in a very, very important geopolitical uncertainty era. Certain actors, powerful actors, are waiting, namely China. Let's remember that there was a possibility of China taking over Taiwan. I believe one of the reasons why members of NATO and Europe in particular highlighted economic sanctions so deep, so severe, is because they also send a strong message to China, so that China is not easily entertain the possibility of taking over Taiwan. I think this is a global reset, so to speak, right after COVID-19. We hope, we wish that the peace will prevail eventually. I think this will be enough for an introductory remarks, Talha.
Thank you very much, Akif Hocam. We'll have lots of questions. So in the coming session, I'm going to ask some questions. So now I would like to switch to Oğuzhan Hocam. Oğuzhan Hocam, the document titled Strategic Compass for Security and Defense is published by Council of the European Union. As we know, the Council publishes important documents, but for the first time, an agreed upon a document has been, published that tries to give some perspective to European security. There are definitely elements of that can be questioned, that can be criticized. But what do you think is the significance of this document, and what kind of perspective does this document give for the European security architecture?
Talha Hocam, I thank you and SETA Brussels office for inviting me to this timely web panel on two important developments which is relevant to the security in European continent and worldwide. As far as strategic compass is concerned, we can say that the lawmakers of the European Union approved an ambitious plan to bolster the bloc's security and defense policy. The EU leaders approved the so-called strategic compass during a joint session to establish a force up to 5,000 troops that can be rapidly deployed to combat various military crises the Union may face. The security plan, which sets out goals to be achieved over the next 5 to 10 years, also ensures some mission experts to be deployed to complex environments, regular live exercises on land and sea to be conducted, and military mobility to be enhanced. It also instructs the EU to boost intelligence analysis capacities, develop teams to detect and respond to hybrid threats, create a foreign information manipulation and interference toolbox, strengthen its maritime military, increase defense spending, and reinforce relationships with NATO, the United States, the United Nations, and regional partners. It can be seen as a sign of unity and strength from Brussels. However, this unity must be demonstrated further in the future in order to protect and maintain the rule-based order. This is only possible through the intense joint efforts of the EU and NATO, also in the fields of resilience, cybersecurity, and arms control. The strategic compass goes back to a German impulse and was launched during the German EU Council presidency. Its relevance has grown further in view of Russia's war in Ukraine. In this perspective, the EU, in conjunction with the NATO, has shown that it has the political will and ability to react quickly, flexibly, and decisively. Putin's invasion of Ukraine has prompted a significant rewrite of the document, with the security threat of Moscow's aggression becoming the biggest threat in the latest version of the paper. In this context, the Strategic Compass is an important project of the EU's common security and defense policy. It stands for crisis management, resilience, skills, and partnerships. The EU should use this wide range of instruments to become militarily faster, more flexible, and more capable of acting. The rapid reaction force with the further developed EU battle groups should serve as essential instruments for effective crisis response in the future. In the drafting process, especially Eastern European member states had insisted on adding an enforced reference that NATO remains the foundation of the collective defense of its members, and they wanted to set a limit to bloc's further ambitions. Now, it seems clear that there is a consensus on the fact that this initiative is not an alternative to NATO. The Strategic Compass clearly states the importance of EU strategic partnership with NATO and seeks to further strengthen it. As we know, Joseph Borrell, the High Representative of the EU for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, clearly stated that EU will be acting in complementarity with NATO, which remains certainly the cornerstone of the territorial defense of Europe. Let me briefly talk about its impacts on Turkey and how Turkey perceives this document. Unfortunately, when we look at the Strategic Compass document of the EU, we see a kind of strategic blindness about Turkey's role in the continent's security. As we know, Turkish Foreign Ministry slammed the EU for this non-visionary and unfortunate document. The document was criticized for missing the truth and reality and seeing Turkey, which is a candidate country and a NATO ally, from a shallow perspective. First of all, the document ignores the fact that Turkey is a candidate country and defines Turkey as a partner like other non-EU states. Secondly, the reference to Turkey on the Eastern Mediterranean issue seems to have been guided by two EU member states, namely Greece and Cyprus, who have maximalist claims at their maritime borders. As has been emphasized by Turkish Foreign Ministry, references to Turkey in the document are unrelated to reality, and document as such cannot work either as a compass nor can be described as strategy. The document leaves a narrow space for cooperation between Turkey and the EU. It recalls that Turkey is a contributor to EU's common security and defense policy missions. It notes that EU will continue to cooperate with Turkey in areas of common interest. It refers to the statement of the members of the European Council, which says that European Union is ready to engage with Turkey in a phased, proportionate, and more importantly, reversible manner to enhance cooperation in a number of areas. Of course, this narrow perspective is much less than what Turkey expects as a EU candidate country and a NATO ally. Thank you for giving me a chance for this introductory remark.
Thank you very much, Oğuzhan Hocam. You give a good description of the main idea behind this document. So we're going to definitely get further into the details of the document, but first I would like to have some broader perspective about the European security imagination from Faik Hocam. Faik Hocam, we know that in the last couple of decades, Europe have been dealing with the soft security issues. They are more focused on energy issues, transforming of the economies of Europe. Definitely the terrorism issue and cyber threat issues has been important, but return of the conventional threats, conventional war is something new for Europe. So how do you think is the Europe have been thinking about their security and how the recent developments in Ukraine affected their security thinking and security mindset?
First of all, I want to thank you for your invitation. Good evening, everyone. This is very significant questions. The European Union intellectuals and bureaucrats discuss about these issues, and also in Germany, that discuss why we don't even invest the soldiers and army forces like that. That is a very big discussion in Germany, one of the most power in European Union. That's why when we look the history about defense policy, we see is in the European among EU members is different ideas. After Soviet Union fall, if we look this history, at those time France such as is the common defense ministry, but it wasn't success. And then after that, the European Union got just the economic and political power, but that was always lack of coordination. When we look the energy issues and the migration issues, we see the similar problems, and also military powers. If we, as in 2014, Russia invasion to Ukraine and in Donbass and Crimea, the European Union couldn't do any reactions or is really reactions, because it's in the European Union the state thing is a little different, and that's why this paper, this strategic compass, is one of the important paper in the European history, because I can say that it is a turning point for the European Union and the important step for the European security and defense policy. And because it's the coordination among states, they want to act more integrated with the partners. Even that not successful, that couldn't create the common policy, and also they couldn't defend again Russia. For example, we see is the some country is the France and the German, the both states couldn't is the when the Trump said, okay, please, we couldn't defend all time European defense. After that, and France and Germany is discussed, and the Merkel also Macron say, okay, this is NATO ally is the brain dead. But after this process, they couldn't move forward any common policy. That's why this paper maybe does give the opportunity to coordinate, and also could provide the unite then amongst the states. That's why the historical paper can be defined. And also, if we look what we say, the politician Joseph Borrell said, Europe must learn to speak language of power. And as well as immigration problems, every state behave this very different. Some say, okay, we accept the European values, but the other not. That's why, and also is the Nabucco projects, and one of the alternative gas imports could be on those time, but and also is this time they couldn't successful in this project also. That's why Turkey has given the alternative route for the transport security to European Union. And we see these similar problems always between the EU countries. And that's why maybe that's in Europe has radical could be changed after this paper. And but discussion about that is that this paper and new energy security policy is the alternative NATO. Is it the alternative NATO? But especially some politicians say not that this strategy compass is no way competing with the NATO alliance, but EU should provide is the soldiers. If you look this paper, just 5,000 soldiers will after this decision will provide European Union. I think is not will be enough. That's why, and also as the Borrell said, this effort no way contradicts European commitment to NATO, which remained head of the territorial defense. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Faik Hocam. So now you can also follow us from the social media and post some questions. I'm going to turn to Akif Hoca. There are a couple of questions. First of all, Akif Hocam, as we know, during the Donald Trump's presidency, he seemed to abandon transatlantic security and sidelined the security concerns of European Union member states. So, first of all, do you think European countries can trust US? I mean, how deep is the trust gap? I mean, how do you think now Biden seems to be committed to European security, transatlantic security, but will this cover the gap? The second question is also related to, and Turkey is also concerned about, its NATO alliance. I mean, we know that during Turkey's struggle with terrorism, it didn't really get some support from the NATO, as well as when Turkey was threatened in Syria, there was very little support from EU. So how can Turkey trust? I mean, do you think these documents can increase trust between Europe and US and between NATO, Europe and Turkey?
Well, it's not the documents which you can rely. Well, they are a reference point for many international agreements and the partners who contribute to those agreements. But what matters is actions. Regarding the first question, yes, Trump, well, how can we put this? Trump didn't want to take United States away from the role of the security provider to Europe, but rather, to me, he wanted European countries to contribute their share that they already accepted that they would contribute to NATO, to their own defense. Usually this is the Republican attitude in the United States. Usually they would like Europeans to contribute in terms of functioning to their own security. So, which means there's no free lunch. That's what Trump actually wanted to say to Europeans. Maybe he said this stronger in a stronger terms than he meant. But NATO as an institution, as the only strategic and security umbrella, which is encompassing Europe and North America, I think is still most important, most powerful security arrangement. On that account, I cannot say that United States under Trump did not sort of avoid supporting security to Europe, but perhaps choose certain options on behalf of United States, not necessarily on behalf of European Union or European countries. Under Biden, well, Biden came, if you remember, perhaps all the followers would remember, the big motto, "We are back" motto. That was the sort of declaration of Biden administration after Trump. We are back to Europe, which I sort of interpreted it. We are back to work with you together. We are back in defense of Europe. But still, there is this issue, how much Europe is contributing to their own defense. I, for instance, would like to highlight the point that after Ukraine, what is the major actor, if Russia is to proceed, God forbid, let's say it, towards the inner realm of Europe? What is the major force in Europe to prevent or to stop Russian forces? Well, yes, they are now installed in Ukraine, but up to Germany, there is no major force. Therefore, Turkey's role, I believe, should be rediscovered, and if not reinvented. And Turkey's requests, demands, if I may say, cries in terms of talking about, the security of Europe starts with Turkey. Turkey's borders are NATO borders. Turkey's security is so much related with the security of Europe. So this notion comes to the picture with this transatlantic security arrangement. I think Turkey faced a lot of injustice on the part of NATO, but still, we have to work with this institution, and it is one of the most relevant, most up-to-date institutions in the world, which provides a security umbrella. I try to combine, two questions together. I hope I answered the questions.
Thank you. So I'm gonna switch to Oğuzhan Hocam. Oğuzhan Hocam, how do you think? What lessons can Turkey draw from this, strategic compass? Do you think that Turkey has some space in EU's security structure, or do you think EU security structure contributes to Turkey's position? I mean, do you see elements of cooperation? You mentioned a couple of points about, you mentioned that some of the issues, especially with regard to ISMET, had been drafted by Greece and most likely Greek Cypriots. So, what lessons can Turkey draw from this? And do you think Turkey has a space in EU security? I mean, or do you think the document is completely irrelevant for Turkey? What are your thoughts on this?
Thank you, Talha Hocam. I think Turkey wants and also deserves a special place in the security architecture of European Union because it is providing security to the continent in many terms. For instance, in regards to the migration problem, Turkey has been a buffer zone for Syrian, Afghan, and many other ethnic origin migrants. So the problems EU is facing is also problems of Turkey. We can give example from the recent war in Ukraine, for instance. And the EU leaders emphasized the fact that cooperation with NATO is key to their security understanding. And NATO is one of the areas Turkey is very strong about. According to Turkish official discourse, NATO is the cornerstone of European security, and Turkey will continue to play an important role in shaping NATO's, and that's why Europe's future. The latest NATO summit was fruitful for Turkey in every respect. As we all know, Turkey is an active and important member of NATO, and this fact is well reflected in various NATO summits. The latest summit was crucial since it was organized while there is an ongoing conventional war on the European continent. The main topic of the latest summit was, of course, Russia's war against Ukraine. The allies were united firmly in condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine in the strongest possible terms. The allies also made it clear that they will continue to provide further political and practical support to Ukraine as it continues to defend itself. if this war is the most important topic for European defense, Turkey surely has an important role to play here. President Erdogan had a special place in the summit as one of the few leaders who can directly talk to President Putin and President Zelensky during this crisis time. Moreover, we also know that the next round of peace talks between Russia and Ukraine will be held in Turkey, probably tomorrow. This clearly shows that Turkey is an indispensable ally for ensuring Europe's security. We can say that Turkey has won widespread praise for its efforts to end the war, helped by its unique position in having friendly relations with both Russia and Ukraine. We also see that Turkey is actively working for humanitarian aid while being part of the peace talks. For instance, Turkey, alongside France and Greece, will soon be launching a common humanitarian operation in the city of Mariupol to evacuate all citizens in need. And nearly there are 150,000 people currently blocked in the city. So whichever topic you talk about, then comes the issue of Turkey and its contribution, valuable contribution to security of Europe. So I think the EU leaders need to reconsider the document in the future, and in practical terms, if they talk about cooperation with NATO, this means that close cooperation with Turkey is necessary and vital at the same time.
Oğuzhan Hocam. I now have a question to Faik Hocam. Faik Hocam, you know, France and Britain used to play key roles, especially diplomatically and in terms of military within the EU, and for their key cornerstones of the you know, European security. If we exclude US definitely is the key actor. But after the Brexit, Britain definitely continues to play a significant role still in the European security. But there's also the issue of Germany's involvement in the European security. And it seems that Germany is very much interested to expand military you know, investment and plans to get involved more strongly militarily. So my question, what kind of roles can Germany play within the security of Europe? And do you think this will be sufficient to strengthen European security? And what kind of problems do you think can this play? I mean, we know that some countries are reluctant to increase German presence in security. So what is your, I know that you are an expert on also Germany. What is your assessment of, you know, Germany's position and also, you know, Britain's withdrawal after the Brexit?
Yeah, after Brexit, some states try to look the ally between some countries, and the Germany also is very big discussions about that. What how can we protect our country? And then if we look the Russia invasion to Ukraine, the Olaf Scholz come to visit to Turkey. But the far right party is very strong in the German domestic policy. That is the big problem. What I see, if we, the intellectual and the academician say we need the Turkey, and we have as the common, we have to work together in terms of the energy security and also its defense and also migrations. And this crisis shows in Europe Turkey's importance, especially in Germany. Even that some parties react to Turkey and German relationship, especially for right parties. But this crisis shows once again all the allies and they have the critical role Turkey playing in the regions. And if Germany doesn't protect its migrations, is maybe for right parties getting strong. that's why it's related to the migration, and the defense policy is related also to foreign domestic policy in Germany. And also, is if you look the Germany's people, and the Russia supports some parties in Germany, and also is this issue is significant for domestically in Germany politics, and the Link Party and also Alternative für Deutschland Partei, that when if you look the comments of Foreign Rights Party representative say especially, and also is the NATO also is has the fault. That's why the NATO also is the respect is the Russia territory. That's why if we look the some parties and criticize the NATO, that we can also is the comments that's how the some party is has the relationship with the Russia. That's why is the Democrat Party representative tried to contact with the Turkey, but with this time how can manage that is really is different questions. Is maybe and also is I think is it if Turkey is come and then European Union if discuss and also is more diplomatic connection with the European countries, maybe we can the domestic policy can be changed. Ses gelmiyor.
Talha hocam sesin.
Okay. Do you think other European countries will respond negatively to increase of German military expenditures? Do you see any reactions to that, or do you think Germany will continue?
Yeah, some countries has also is the fears about Germany expansion because it's the Hitler time. That's why the other countries would like to control the Germany, not if we Germany more stronger as military power, and also is the United Nations is criticized or would you like to control the German military power? If you look the history after the Soviet Union fall, the federal state also is formulated especially by the United Nations because is the risk of the again racism. That's why is a little some country has the fears about the German politics. If we get the German get the military power, and also risk of the some other countries, especially the Britain don't like to let to military power.
Thank you very much. Akif hocam, I have a question to you. We know that, as you also mentioned, European countries, NATO demonstrates strong solidarity against Russian invasion of Ukraine. However, we haven't seen similar kind of response from countries of the MENA region, from China, India, and African countries. So what is the source of reason for this reluctance? I mean, they definitely voted against Russia in the United Nations, but their response is quite weak. I mean, how do you evaluate, how do you assess this?
Good question. Thank you. First, China, and to a certain extent, India. I think there is this strategic compass of their own in this new world order, which I think we are headed towards multipolar system. But the problem is that this multipolarity, if you will, whether this multipolarity is going to take place with peace or with war. Obviously, there's a contention about that. So China, although still carefully watching, carefully observing what's going on the war theater in Ukraine, I think they are taking a lot of lessons from what's going on. Like I indicated earlier, the enormity of economic sanctions which the Western world imposed on Russia is not only to deter or perhaps to weaken Russia, but also to send a strong message to China. On that account, how much strategic closeness they can maintain, I mean, China and Russia, is going to be seen. One of the major objectives, if I may say, of United States as the hegemon of the system is to keep these two giant powers separate, or perhaps to ally with one of them. So in the strategic compass of European Union, as it is the case in NATO communique, China is highlighted and mentioned as strategic rival. Although in the European strategic compass, the text highlights a lot that it's a business partner for European Union because of the enormity of the business or commodity exchanges between the two regions. I think it's going to be difficult for several European countries to simply stay away with financial and economic cooperation with China. So I think that's that. And in regard to Africa, Africa is not, this is my interpretation, Africa does not want to be seen as taking sides in this war which is taking place in Europe. They don't want to pay extra price for another conflict which is not taking place in their own continent. So that's one thing. The second one is that to be considered, there's this rivalry between especially France and Russia in several African countries. Russia is making a comeback, if not asserting its power anew in several African countries in an effort to weaken already existing colonial presence of France and perhaps to a certain extent other earlier colonial empires in Africa. I think Russia is trying to gain another edge in terms of sitting with the West for a bigger and more comprehensive European security architecture. So I believe that is becoming an obsolete idea with the invasion of Ukraine, if I may say. So if the conflict is going to be longer than what we expect, I think it's going to affect several regions and several different perspectives. I think it's going to be difficult on many of us.
Yeah, it seems that the other actors in the world are looking forward to see whether this war will have a systemic impact. I think that's why they are a little bit reluctant to respond. They see some change, but I think there is also the beginning of a systemic transformation in, as you mentioned, the power distribution in the world. And it seems that as moving towards the multipolar kind of order. So we'll see. I mean, all the actors have been waiting to see how the new shape will occur, and they will probably respond according to that new shape.
Would you say that it was very interesting? You reminded me that this strategic compass of EU refers to the new parameters of security in Europe and in the world. It's new power politics. So, which is not only the Cold War politics, Cold War strategic approach to international system, but also perhaps and more dreadful 19th century, order, which right before World War I, there was no order, and between two world wars, again, it was a very, very critical transition period. I am afraid that we are sort of in a deja vu kind of way, living through the same uncertainties.
Yeah, I mean, as a student as well as the scholar of international politics, I also feel that it's a very exciting time to follow the developments. I mean, yes, I mean, there are some wars, humanitarian sufferings, but at the same time, exciting time. It's like 1906, 1908, where the world system has been shifting, changing, and it's the beginning of the big expansion. So it's at the same time very interesting time to study international politics. Definitely, Ukraine is one element, and I think it will continue. Oğuzhan Hocam, I'm going to ask you a question about European defense and security. As we teach European politics, we are often argue that Europe is a economic giant and military dwarf. Yes, I mean it really fits to that kind of definition. They don't want to expand, invest a lot on the security, and the security umbrella that is provided by the US often protects Europeans. So if you look at, if you reassess this, strategic documents about strategic compass, do you think this document provides a perspective, a realistic perspective about European security that is sufficient in the multipolar system, or do you think it is quite weak? Definitely in certain parts of this document, Europe's security is complementary with NATO, and NATO is fundamental pillar. But do you think other than the NATO, this document provides a realistic and convincing argument about security structure for Europe?
Thank you. There are many gaps that are being criticized about this document so far, and several EU leaders have mentioned that this is only the beginning of a new era for European security architecture. We may say that it is a kind of beginning, but it has been provided by the Russian aggression, and Russian aggression has been crucial in revival of EU as a kind of security player in the field. The West is now much more united in opposing Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and as we already have mentioned several times, only 3 years ago, when the idea for a strategic compass was being promoted by French and German EU diplomats, most people were not listening to them as they are doing now. And French President Emmanuel Macron famously declared that NATO was brain dead. Now the situation in Europe has radically changed. And President Macron, for instance, now says that Russia has given EU a wake-up call, and NATO has received an electric shock when Russia attacked Ukraine. So we can say that this is a good start, which had taken almost 2 years to discuss, but there was an outside force which enabled European members to unite and bring a united document, which was Russia's invasion. We need time to see whether this will turn into a real practical defense policy, which is separate from the NATO membership, NATO alliance. But some members have promised to spend more, like Germany's promise of spending 100 billion euros for boosting its defense. There are some other members who promised to spend more, but this is not enough in itself. And if it is strategically blind, as in the case of Turkey's role in European security, then we can say that soon we will see some difficulties and problems arising among the members of the European Union when the outside force, which is Russia, evaporates from the discussion. So there are a lot to be done, because these efforts have been continuing for decades in Europe, establishing a European army and having strategic autonomy. These discussions are not new. What is new is the international environment now, which has provided a fruitful environment for discussing these types of new security understandings. EU has to use this opportunity by cooperating with potential allies, including Turkey. If they cannot do this, this initiative is doomed to fail, I guess.
So, Faik Hocam, as you know, there are also some hybrid threats that are mentioned in both documents, in NATO document as well as the EU document, such as energy security, food security, environmental security issues. So, and also, you know, there are also some security problems with regard to cultural differences among the actors. I mean, the Islamophobia, xenophobia kind of thing. So rise of radical right and, you know, some elements. So, so do you think conventional security and hybrid security threats can go together? I mean, do you think Europe often thinks about hybrid security when they understand the security? Do you think they can handle both of them together? I mean, because as you know, if they invest more on military spending, they will have less to spend on social welfare. Or if they increase more, you know, nationalistic or more defense-oriented thinking in their politics, then this may lead to some, you know, radicalization of some elements. So what do you think? I mean, is there a connection or do you think the hybrid threats and conventional threats will support each other or will contradict with each other? What do you think?
Actually, so far, European Union mostly depends the defense policy on US. That is the with the Trump declaration is the European members first time think about that what should we do that and also the European Union is without restriction military investment. They put invest in welfare states. If you look the Germany, they didn't put the JPD. What is the responsible for the NATO? They didn't do that so far, and also is Trump criticized until when we defense the European military power. Is I think is it Trump is little has the rights because Turkey is responsible for the NATO and also is invest related to JPD, but the Germany didn't do and the what was the responsible didn't do so far. That's why they put also is for welfare state. That's why I think is most of the European countries if they don't invest in military and automatically they invest the other educations and the other issues. If we think there's a Turkey, we have to, as a geopolitically, we have to invest the military power. We don't have other chance. But after this invasion, I think is the turning point for the European Union. But I am not sure that European Union will achieve will be success for this defense policy, because as I said, the US would like to control and to balance the European Union, not complete, let do ourselves, themselves the military control. That's why with the Russia invasion is a little bit some moving, but I think so not will be sustainable moving for the European countries. Because it's France and the other countries not agree with everything. It's some EU members criticize the German economic power, especially in the Ost countries, and also is in Greece. Also, is a lot of reactions to Germany. That's why is little bit. I think is. Big differences in the European Union. If you look in some different projects, in important projects, that is the results and successful results, we couldn't see that. That's why I am not sure that it is sustainable military power control. If you look also is the strategic compass of European Union, is not realistic and big decisions. It's just 5,000 soldiers, forces, and the common defenses. Most of them is the not realistic. I think so.
I would like to ask the last question to you. Of course, Turkey is central to NATO's security and also a fundamental pillar of European security as well. So what lessons should Turkey draw for these debates and these documents, and how do you think Turkey should accommodate itself to these security arrangements? And do you think it's sufficient for Turkey? I mean, or is it disappointing?
Time in Turkey also is a big reaction to European Union, some countries. But as we see at the moment in European Union and some countries is praise of the Turkey's importance again. That's why Turkey should come more together and more diplomatic relationship with the European countries as they did at the moment. That's why is European Union don't have any other chance without the Turkey. If with this crisis, we see the most of the European presidency has come to visit, and also as well the immigration issues. If Turkey didn't do that, didn't protect, they maybe is European Union couldn't continue, because most of some European countries said, okay, we will exit of the European Union. That's why Turkey should try to communicate more than ever, and that is with this crisis again, understanding for the both states is a significant relationship between the Turkey and European Union. Maybe that is in domestically is the problem. I think is some intellectual peoples agree with the Turkey relationship is significant, but the domestic is very criticized, especially in conventional media. Is Islamophobia increase especially in Germany. If you look 2021 is quadrupled is the Islamophobia. That's why is maybe if we Turkey and the European countries come together in more diplomatic relations, I think is could be better than past.
Akif Hocam, can I ask the same question to you? I mean, what should Turkey do? And as we know, NATO and EU is trying to rearrange their security, and their plans are insufficient. I mean, if you look at so what do you think Turkey should do under these circumstances?
Well, this is a very important question. I think Turkey should aggressively pursue to take part in European security structure. If you remember, it was one of the big topics almost 10 years ago when Turkey's full membership was being negotiated with European Union, full membership. And at that time, European Union was also trying to pursue to create any strategic structure. That plan was delayed for several reasons. And at that time, again, Turkey was addressing this issue as one of the major rifts between European Union and Turkey. So I think that's very strategically very important for Turkey. But because of several regional and global issues, and because of the policy choices in the region of certain NATO partners, primarily France, primarily Greece and Northern Cyprus, Turkey is constantly being sort of ostracized from this debate within the European community. So I think the most recent developments in Europe, the invasion of Ukraine, reminded the relevance of Turkey not only as a sort of a southern or southeastern flank security provider, but also as a major player, as a major partner. I think we should emphasize a partner in providing security to larger Europe should be emphasized. So I think that's one. And for this, Turkey can promote its role within NATO. I think we should use NATO corridors more aggressively to reminding, this is not reminding the member countries that, Turkey, reminding member countries the things that Turkey is not doing, but the things that Turkey has been doing. So that role is not highlighted enough, if I underline the importance of that. And then the Eastern Mediterranean issue, as European Compass indicates on few occasions, I think it sort of invited a big reaction on the part of Turkey. Yes, we should react, but we shouldn't miss the big picture. That is Turkey's relevance in European security. Faik mentioned that migration is only one, but this role is larger than the migration. So Turkey is hosting 3.7 displaced Syrians within its territory, and another 4 million we are taking care of in Idlib, right? So they are under constant threat of regimes attacks, and Turkey, because of that, Turkey must maintain a level of relationship with Russia because Russia is the main actor in Syria. So we should invite member states, European members and European Union members and NATO members to take a closer and friendlier look to the position of Turkey. I think it is time for Turkey to remind this with a louder voice.
Thank you very much, Akif Hocam, Faik Hocam, and Oğuzhan Hocam. I think the debate about security of Europe, security of transatlantic relations just started. I mean, after years of pause, I think this issue will become central, and it is quite relevant for Turkey because Turkey has always been a significant pillar of Europe's security architecture. So we will continue to debate this issue in the coming weeks, coming months. But I think it's a good beginning. As far as I see, the documents that are produced by EU as well as the NATO document is insufficient, and it will not take a lot of time for European actors to recognize how their documents fit to the realities of the time. But this also means that the debate will continue for both Europeans and for Turkey as well. So it is, as I said, it's an exciting time for the scholars of international relations, scholars of international security, and I hope we will also contribute to this security structure more constructively to reach peacefully. Definitely, we need clear and much faster solution to the Ukrainian crisis. But whatever the outcome of the Ukrainian crisis, this debate will continue for the coming weeks. So I would like to thank also our viewers. We will post this video to YouTube and other social media. Thanks for watching us. Thanks for your contributions.